Good morning, buenos dias, Judith.
Buenos dias, Peter.
All right, how are you feeling? ¿Cómo estás?
Muy bien, gracias.
¿Cómo te sientes ahora? Porque tú has tenido una semana loca, ¿no? Tú has tenido una semana un poco loca.
Un poco loca, porque jueves yo necesito tener cirugía. Sí.
Sí, tienes que tener una cirugía en el hospital porque tuviste un accidente, ¿no?
Sí, pero en la tarde, el jueves, voy a cenar de Thanksgiving con mis amigos.
Ah, qué bien, qué bien, qué bien.
Sí.
So, van a celebrar la vida.
Sí.
Van a celebrar la vida porque tú has sobrevivido un evento loco.
Sí.
Okay, so thank you. So we have Judith here, and Judith and I are going to talk about her journey and your journey. We're going to share your really, really, really unbelievable story. And that you just happened, and Spanish was a part of it. What was kind of the event of the past week?
We're going along the highway, and he had passed a couple of slow-moving trucks, which is a constant problem here in Mexico. They're overloaded and they can't go the speed limit. Got up behind a third truck, pulled out to pass it, and right there was this huge, big, white transport truck coming at us. We were hit head on by this transport truck. My car was spun around, rolled down into a big ravine, and that was that. And the young woman came and asked me, did I need a doctor? I said, no, I need an ambulance. I need to go to the hospital. Got into this hospital. I had sustained what the doctor described as being punched by a heavyweight boxing champion in the lower chest. And basically I broke nothing, no fractures, no cracks, nothing, but my breathing was severely limited and the pain was just bloody excruciating. I think I'd rather have a baby than go through that. I was alive. I mean, I could not believe this. We survived this.
It's such a miracle, and gracias a Dios, thank goodness, thank God that you are okay. Because I've seen the photos. It doesn't look like anyone should have survived that thing.
No. Now here is another miracle. Here's the thing. Okay. Nobody spoke English, nothing. And I've been taking Spanish lessons for quite a long time. I've been in this program for almost a year. All of a sudden in that hospital with excruciating pain, everything was there. I had no problems. I spoke properly. I answered all the questions. I answered all the questions for my friend who speaks zero Spanish. It was all in my head and it was coming out of my mouth. I mean, that was just amazing. Amazing. I had no problems.
It's unbelievable.
It is.
To be alone in a foreign country, yes. Not only alone, but in the most difficult of circumstances.
Yeah.
And how important was that? I mean, can you imagine if you hadn't been able to do that?
It would have been horrendous. It was fantastic to be able to speak to people and answer questions and expedite everything.
Yeah.
In the language. It was astonishing to me. It was wonderful. And it's given me more confidence because now I know even when I'm stumbling around, it's in there.
It's in there.
It's in there.
You also took a 2-week trip with your friends all around Mexico with no English.
Yes.
Before this. So you're your confidence has grown in the last year, and I've seen it immensely, to the point where you're traveling with Mexican friends with basically no English, right?
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Yes.
And having the types of experiences that can only be had because you know Spanish.
Oh, no kidding. I would not have the kind of relationship I have with these people if I couldn't speak Spanish.
Yeah.
The guy, his English is pretty good. His English is probably better than my Spanish at this point, but his wife's English is very limited. She understands, but she's kind of shy.
So you spoke to her in Spanish?
Oh yes. Oh yes.
Yeah. For 2 weeks.
Yes, and their friends and their relatives. And I had one experience.
Yeah.
That I had two on this holiday. One was very difficult. We went to their friend's house in a city called Aguascalientes, and they didn't speak any English, but then they decided that evening to have a little party. So there's 9 adults and 2 or 3 kids, and the music is cranked, and the wine and the beer is flowing, and everybody's talking at once. And it's just sort of, oh my God. And then they started to talk to me, asking me questions, and I went totally blank. I couldn't answer. I couldn't find the words. And I basically threw up my hands and went to bed at 9:30. Then I texted you.
I remember.
And you were able to calm me down. You gave me some coping strategies that worked really well. Just to sit and let the words flow over me and not worry about understanding, not worry about responding, and to have one-on-one conversations.
You settled in and you had an incredible conversation with him, didn't you?
Well, this was a few days later. I went out to have a cigarette. Don't shoot me. And a few minutes later, he came out, and this fellow is a retired notario.
Yeah.
And he started to talk to me about his garden. And he took me around the garden and showed me fruit trees and different flowering plants, very slowly, very clearly.
Yeah.
And then we started to talk about being parents.
Yeah.
Being parents of adult kids, being grandparents, living in Mexico. And the conversation just expanded. I was out there for an hour, and the only reason the conversation ended was because I was cold.
This is the type of stuff I love as a teacher to hear, right? When you text me, it's like, I love these things because it's changed your life, right? I mean, this is not just about learning a language. It's really about, and how old are you? If you don't mind me asking, you don't have to give a specific number, but it's 60s, 50s, 40s,
I
30s.
don't mind at all. I'm 75.
Yeah. And I know you don't mind because we've talked about
I don't mind.
But 75, right? And so many people think they're retired in Mexico or Colombia or Dominican Republic, around the world, think I'll never learn Spanish. I'm too old. I hear this all the time. It's not about age. Your mind lasts a lot longer than our body lasts, you know? And
well, there has to be, I mean, I was lucky. I had 4 years of French a million years ago. And that is helpful. But you really have to want to learn it.
Yeah.
If you just do it because, well, I'm here, I better learn some Spanish, you're going to stay there.
Yeah.
But having actual friends who are Spanish speaking, that's been a massive incentive to me because I love these people. And I want to talk to them, really talk to them, not just, pass the hot sauce.
Yeah.
Well, This program is really, really very good. I've been impressed with it. But the emphasis has stayed on step-by-step learning and verbs.
So the steps, you mentioned the verbs, you mentioned right? The what was the other piece you mentioned? The step-by-step
step learning, yes.
Right. And the keys to the verbs. Before we talk about the other steps that helped you the most, what did you do before this, and what was your level coming into our program?
Okay. I had taken Spanish lessons during the season. In other words, the winter time. From the first year was with a teacher who wasn't very good. His classes were too big. And the guy he's a nice man, but he's not a very good teacher. And then classes with quite a good teacher here, small classes like 6 or 7 students, but only for a few months. And if you don't keep it up, you lose it.
Mm-hmm.
At least I sure lose it.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess I'd done that for 3 years.
So you had been on and off 3 years, different
Yes.
tutors, trying different philosophies. Some helped a little bit, some didn't.
Yes.
And
I think when I came into this program, I think you said I had survival Spanish.
yeah. And
I thought I had more than that, but you're right.
so what have been kind of the keys for you to stay consistent, whether it was something you discovered or something we helped you with, because you have been really, really diligent about staying with it?
Well, yes and no. I mean, there have been a couple of periods when I just sort of faded away for a week or two, and I don't know why. But what always brings me back is the classes are fun. Sometimes they're work. I remember you and I were on there one day for an hour and 40 minutes, and it was just the two of us, and you were just pounding away at stuff. I said, I need a break, let me out of here. But I learned a lot that day.
Yeah.
It was good. Other times when there's other students, we have some fun. What's been really, really helpful to me, I remember really put me into another level, was the magic questions and the magic verbs.
Yeah.
Really good stuff and different. I'd never encountered that before.
Mm-hmm.
It's very, very helpful.
It's the key to unlocking your conversation very early on. Build that confidence so you can start having little conversations in
Mm-hmm.
class before we get into the complicated grammar, right? Those magic verbs are like 25 simple verbs that we teach before getting into all the conjugations and this and that. Just simple stuff to start having conversation
Mm-hmm.
in any topic. That's what makes them magic, is that they're useful in any topic.
One of the biggest hurdles I finally got over was to go ahead, even when I felt like an idiot, to just talk to people, try to talk to people. I'm sure I sound like I just got off the boat, although I have had many compliments from total strangers in strange places on my pronunciation and my ability to speak.
Yeah.
So that helps, but getting past this thing of, well, I don't know how I'm going to talk about this, so I'm not going to say anything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just getting confident at saying what you can.
Yes. And if I don't know the tense of the verb, I'll use the infinitive.
Yeah.
They get it.
Yeah.
I'll use an English word. They get it.
Yeah.
And it's fun.
This is really what it's all about, is step by step at any age, at any level. Judith came in with years of experience with, living in Mexico for a number of years. How many years had you lived in Mexico?
I just completed 4 full years. So
4 full years in Mexico.
3 years when I joined. Yeah.
Yeah. And so, this is a story a lot of people can relate to, is you want to enjoy Mexico on a deeper level. You want to feel confident. You want to feel independent. You want to make friends and have these experiences. But your you're not able to connect.
Well, I've got a long way to go, but
Yeah, of course.
I know if I keep doing this, I'm going to get there.